Blue skies means fun days. Helping skydivers with tips and techniques about safety, training and fun jumping from those who know.
Hi Garnet, I have a lot of newer skydivers with low jump numbers wanting to start free flying. Could you do an episode on where they should begin?
Thanks for the question. Hello and welcome to Blue Skies Fun Days. This is a question I often hear being asked around the drop zone. While I often say that flat is where it's at, now look at that. Doesn't that look like fun? Yeah, I know you want to learn to free fly. So to help you out, I had a chat with some great friends who know a little bit about free flying. Chazzy Rutz, instructor, coach and FreeFly load organiser, as well as being VFS World Champion. And also instructor and coach Andy Locke, who is also National VFS Champion.
How do you get into free flying? Well, step one, I mean, the wind tunnels helps. It's basically, it's kind of like the batting cage for a baseball player to work on your swing.
All right, how to get into free flying?
Yeah.
Well, first, want to do it. You don't want to get into something that you're not totally sold on, right? That looks cool, I'm gonna try it. One of the first things that you should pay attention to is whether or not your gear is free fly friendly.
Most importantly, man, you need to make sure your gear is safe. You need to make sure that your bridle's not going to be snaking out, or your BOC isn't too loose and you accidentally have a premature opening.
So it shouldn't have a lot of Velcro or a lot of flaps that would come open. Your main pin should be protected. And please, please, please spend the 50 cents on what we call butt bungee, where we tie our leg straps together, because a lot of times when you start to sit fly, your knees will come up and it gets to be a scary situation for any of your friends that watch your leg straps move up towards your knees. It doesn't have to necessarily be newer gear, but your BOC should be tight. It shouldn't be all loosey-goosey. I personally really like having a FreeFly handle that would tuck in. I'm not a fan personally of hackies, but there's a lot of people that jump with a hacky. It's just a matter of whether or not your BOC is gonna hold your pilot chute in, and be conscious about your friends that you're jumping with, because things happen. You could get a handle dislodged, like any one of your handles, when we're doing some different exits and holding on to things that maybe we shouldn't, or accidentally kicking each other in the sky when we shouldn't. So just maintaining your gear, and have somebody take a look at it if you have a question on something, and have a tight enough closing loop so that it's not just like a pin's gonna fall out if you get rubbed the wrong way. So first things first, be safe with your gear.
To get into free flying, as far as the mechanics of the flying, find a good coach, hop in the wind tunnel, and if you can, jump with an organizer whenever you can,
It would be a better idea to streamline your transition into free flying if you're with somebody you trust and someone who knows how to already.
I was the stereotypical guy that wanted to get straight to the sit flying, even though I really had no idea what I was doing. I mean, you want to have a good understanding of how to fly flat first. It's kind of like learning the different positions in free flying, or really any body position, is similar to math. You got to learn how to add and then subtract and then multiply before you start division. So I waited till about 100 jumps, and then I started being pretty serious about hitting the free flying more than the belly jumps. But to be honest, I could have spent more time on my belly. Allow my awareness to be a little bit more open.
I came from a gymnastics background, so when I started skydiving and I saw a video of somebody doing what I have come to call flips and shit, I was just intrigued, oh, you can do that in the sky. So still to this day, I love when I'm working with a new student and we get to do flips. I know it's an instability drill and getting them back to their belly, but it's my favorite thing, because I grew up doing gymnastics and loving jumping on a trampoline. So to free fly and be able to do that in the sky has always been appealing to me.
So if you're trying to go about learning to free fly solo by yourself on a skydive, for one, you got to know the jump run and you got to face perpendicular to the line of flight. It is very easy. If all I do is have my head slightly forward, I'm going backwards at a high rate of speed. So you need to make sure that you're not going down the line of flight.
The tunnel is concentrated coaching. It's 15 skydives right in a row, and room for improvement, video, like a coach right there with you, helping you in the moment. In the sky, it's so much more different because you have a rig and you can't exactly like change everything at a moment's notice. You know, you don't have a break to get out and then get back in. You have 20 minutes on the ground and then you watch a video and then you have to pack and all these things. The tunnel is going to be a concentrated way to excel faster.
Another thing to think about is, you know, in the tunnel progression, you work your belly, you work your back, you work the transitions from belly to back. I do not recommend whatsoever to be doing a solo back fly jump in the sky. Back flying with a rig is very difficult. I know the top mixed formation teams make it look very easy, but it is very difficult. And yeah, you just will have no idea, no situational awareness of where you are in relation to other groups. So if you have your heart set on back flying in the sky, make sure you have someone that is pretty switched on with you, so they can be like, time out, go to your belly, come back.
You have a couple hundred jumps, you saw this video on Freeflying, you want to start there, your gear is good, then you start doing jumps with your friends where you're like, oh, I hit my sit, did you see me? Which is super awesome. Your friends come down and are like, I totally saw you on that one, you were holding it, it was great. Keeping those jumps small, right? Because the speed changes are so intense that we want to stay on level, and that's the first fight, is to be able to stay on level with your friends. Then once you're on level, then you start learning how to move forward and backwards and put your hand out to take a dock. Then you get down and you're like, I totally got you on that one. Or being able to like feed your foot into somebody's hand, right? Or being able to fly that way. And then the next thing you know, you're like consistently taking docks and you're working head down in the sky, in the tunnel. Then you're flying with your friends in the tunnel, head down and upright and all the positions. And then the next thing you know, you're like, yeah, we should do a VFS team. And you're doing 4-way in the tunnel and in the sky.
The wind tunnel is excellent. It's an excellent tool, but it is no replacement for, you know, falling through the sky. The wind tunnel isn't a time-sensitive event. Skydiving is. So I would say definitely, if you want to progress as soon as possible, get a coach, you know, and not all coaches are equal. You know, some coaches, I would prefer to get a coach that's also a skydiver, so they understand truly what you're wanting to do. But yeah, get a coach, get in the wind tunnel, and get on every airplane you can. You know, tunnel's great, but it's not a replacement for the real thing.
Packing mat tips are actually really good tips, except you just don't want to like rely on all of them. So it has to come from somebody you trust, maybe somebody you've seen who can fly that way. It's not the worst to get advice from your friends, especially if that friend was working with a reliable coach. If you've been in the tunnel and you have the information, you just can't apply it yet, it doesn't mean the information's bad, right? So like somebody who has gotten coaching, they've heard the right words and they're possibly telling you the right thing. So it's not necessarily like a, I can't talk to you moment. It's a, okay, take it all in, see who you trust, go up and try it.
Problem is now the day comes and all your FreeFly buddies and all your belly buddies want to get together and do a hybrid. And you're the free flyer that's 300 feet lower than everyone because you don't know how to control your fall rate on your belly. And it's pretty embarrassing. So you don't want to find yourself wanting when it comes to the skill set when it's time to open that parachute. You know, so I think a true free flyer can fly all the orientations, belly, back, head down, head up. You know, but I mean, my main discipline is VFS, but I'm also an AFF instructor. So, you know, whenever people see me on a belly jump, they think, oh, do you even know how to do that? And it's like, I still have more belly jumps than I do free fly jumps.
Or you're going the other route where you want to be more artistic about it and concentrating on dynamic flying, which also feeds into angle flying. Angle's not just going straight and doing cruisers. I make fun of people for doing that, but they're doing some really cool things that are dynamic with a group of people. Elongated body flight, going pass-throughs and carving and then stopping and doing flips every once in a while and changing directions. So it's a progression of, I could get out and sit fly, and now I can get out and head down, and now I can grab my friends. And then if you want to go the static route, VFS is like the hardest thing I think you could do. If you want to do dynamic, you tend to lean towards the angle flyers, or do freestyle and have a couple partners, or FreeFly. FreeFly is 2 performers, 1 video. So really it's 3-way working together to just bring some beautiful flying to video.
Once you can nail the fundamentals of flying in a 2-way scenario, so controlling your fall rate, controlling your heading, being able to stay in a vertical orientation for the entirety of the skydive, because it can get dangerous really quickly when if you struggle to stay vertical, and next thing you know you're going 150 miles an hour, you fall onto your belly, and now you're going 120. That's not a scenario where you want 5, 6, 7 or more people out there, you know. So once you can, you know, get a good hold on the fundamentals of being able to hold that position, being able to maintain your fall rate, being able to maintain that heading so you're not sliding off into somebody else's airspace, then you can start kind of adding more to the jump. But and that's the tricky part, is knowing, having the judgment to know when, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be on this skydive, you know. I learned that the hard way, you know.
I think the importance of being safe in the sky in free flying applies for any sort of flying. We all want to come home safe, right? So having respect for the speeds now is even more important because free flying is much faster than belly flying. So keeping the amount of people, the group size, smaller is a better way to stay safe, so there's not a lot of separation. When I have a group that I'm organizing, I always ask, do you bail to your belly or your back? A newer free flyer probably doesn't even know what I'm asking them. So learning that in the tunnel to be able to keep up your speeds would mean you bail to your back so that you're still with your friends who are on their feet. And it's a huge difference in fall rate. So to stay safe and stay on level, you have to be able to safely enter those groups. It's probably the biggest thing for me, is like stay on level for any of our flying, because the closer you are, the less it hurts when you run into each other.
When I was learning to free fly, I was an idiot. To be honest, there's many occasions where I should not be here because of the decisions I made. I mean, I used to, okay, break-offs at 5,000 feet, and that would be when, okay, I'm going to work on my cartwheels and not track, you know, until I had a malfunction, which resulted in a low cutaway, and then I had reserve line twists, and I kicked out of those until about 300 feet. Fortunately, the spot was good, but that was when I kind of had to really pull my head out of my ass and realize, like, oh, I can get hurt doing this. So as far as going from belly flying to free flying, you got to think about a lot of things. Your heading, for instance, you know, it's very easy to backslide, and you could be backsliding at the same rate that someone tracks. So if you're facing, you know, up and down the line of flight, next thing you know, you're in 2 groups over his airspace, you know, so that's things you need to be cognizant of. I highly recommend, as far as gear, you know, that you have an audible altimeter, because time flies. And when especially if you're a bigger person, you're falling pretty fast, you know, and the ground doesn't care how cool your last dock was. So, yeah, proper gear selection, you know, including the audible altimeter, proper heading, knowing where you fit in the exit order and why, and knowing when maybe to pull off a jump, because it might be a little bit over your pay grade, you know. I don't even want to think about how much money I've invested in myself to be at the level that I'm at now. How much money have I invested in the tunnel? Well, I would say, I don't know, how much does law school cost? Spent a lot of money, a lot of money in the tunnel. And the good thing is the better you get, the cheaper it gets, because then you can start flying with your friends, you know. But it definitely takes a solid down payment of some one-on-one coaching to get there as soon as possible, you know. Of course, you could just, you know, pay the tunnel to turn it on and you hop in and you try your best, but that's going to be a long road. So your best bet is to get a good coach. Keep your ears and eyes open, you know, watch how instructors and different high-level skydivers or people that you perceive as a high-level skydiver, see how they treat people. You know, I think it's easy to get some skills under your belt, and then next thing you know, you're a little egomaniac, and you know, you kind of lose sight that we're all here together, you know, chasing this passion. So ask around, you know, peer reviews, basically. You see someone that's, you know, that has the skills that you want. Hey, how'd you do that? You know, more conversations around the bonfire. Depends, I think. It's a little different for everybody, you know. Some people things come a little bit more naturally too. It really depends on, you know, what your body awareness is, your proprioception, and how quickly you can pick up, you know, new information. And it also, you know, how often are you trying? How often are you training? You know, if you're only trying once every month and a half, it's going to be slow going, you know. But if you're, say for instance, you're going to hit the tunnel and you do an hour in a few day period, and then you come back next month and do another hour and really hit it hard, you can progress pretty quickly. So, I mean, you could just do what I did and get a nice credit card, you know, start swiping away. If I'm just with a 3-way or a 4-way sit fly jump, for instance, ideally, I know where those people are before I even start the track. So if I know that, okay, jumper 1, 2, and 3 are all in front of me, I know that I should have clear airspace this way, unless I end up in someone else's airspace, all right? But so as far as do I do barrel rolls, I don't really do barrel rolls during my break off. If I'm leaving a big way where there's 100+ people, I mean that break off starts on my back, so I can check my airspace, and then I belly around and see what's in front of me. But when you're learning to free fly, the big thing would be finding people in the skydive throughout the skydive. It shouldn't be at the end of your track when you decide, I wonder where everyone's at, you know?
It's good to have a basis of free fly to start doing freestyle, because you want to be able to keep your speeds up or be versatile with your camera flyer. That being said, I've seen some really fun people compete in nationals in freestyle that couldn't fly on their head yet. So there's ways around it. It's just that there's a different facet. Like free flying is a lot of head down, upright, and then freestyle is going to be a lot of either you're going the flips and shit route, which is what I like to do, or you're going the dynamic route, which I feel like came from the tunnel and flying like their lines, and a lot of carving. And now that's kind of where freestyle is in the US. It's been in Europe for a long time, and now the US is taking it over too. And it's beautiful. Like, they're flying lines in the sky and still doing flips in them with a totally elongated body, and they look awesome. And they can work a lot of their routine in the tunnel. So it's all like interconnected. The future of free flying. Oh, wow. Crystal Ball says, man, there's so much to go into the future of free flying. We're currently hoping for more than 100-way upright formation for a world record. We're currently hoping for a 200-way head down record. We're watching angle take off, and angle is such a broad spectrum. Like I said, there's so many different directions that they can take it. I don't even know what the future could hold. Like something beautiful, I hope.
Yeah, I would say, you know, you're fresh off your A license. Enjoy the process. Don't be in such a hurry. You know, stop comparing yourself to people that started a decade before you. You know, just really enjoy the process and don't neglect all the safety stuff. Don't neglect the canopy skills, you know. It will come with time.
And then eventually my free flying turned into big wave flying, which I also really, really enjoy. The free fly side of it, like head down and upright. So, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. Actually, it might be wise to watch this discussion a few more times. In the meantime, be safe, have a ton of fun in the sky, and I'll see you next time on Blue Skies Fun Days.
For more tips and techniques, click subscribe.